So, guys, welcome back to Rough Trade. I spoke to you last when Doggle was released back in spring, and I think it's pretty safe to say that a lot has happened since then. One being Rough Trade Albums of the Year, and you guys topping the chart. Congratulations, it's a hugely deserving album. You guys are a hugely deserving band. Just kind of wanted to start and say you guys have been seemingly like everywhere at the moment. That must be, I guess the attention must be very, very overwhelming. So I kind of wanted to ask just how you're doing and how you guys are doing as a band and how you kind of manage this kind of level of press.
We're doing really well at the moment, actually. Thanks for asking. We just got a tour bus for the first time, so we're sleeping really well, and it's an awful lot less strain, the whole touring thing. Whereas during the summer, with all the festivals we were doing, we did so many in such a amount of time. We did like 12 weeks of festivals.
Wow.
4 festivals a week with flights that actually means that you're basically always moving and always gigging, and really run us down and really pushed us to the edge.
Yeah.
Especially with press in between all that as well, you know. So it was actually quite tough. And I know that like we live really privileged lives, but from the fact that we get to do what we get to do, which is amazing. But you know, that is tough as well. But at the moment we're great. You know, we're over the hill and about to go into a couple of weeks off for Christmas. So
yeah, great. That'd be really nice. I bet, like going home. Have you spent much time at home at all this year?
No, really, no. I moved into a new house in Dublin with my girlfriend back in July.
Okay.
And I haven't been there really. Like I think I spent like 10 days there or something like that. Maybe I did more. But
very patient girlfriend.
Yeah, it really is.
Oh. I wouldn't say that. Hope she listens to this.
Oh gosh, moving on. One of the things we noticed about you here in Rough Trade, and I think one of the things that makes you guys so unique, is kind of how natural you remain to be. There's no pretense about you. There's no like overbearing showmanship. You guys are just very much being your very honest selves. And I think it feels like, I was saying this to you just before we sat down, it feels like you've been around for years, like just that kind of confidence about your music and the way you perform. And I think it's really, really infectious. I think you were signed to Partisan in October last year. Just October last year, was it?
We signed in May last year.
May last year.
I think they didn't announce us until October, wasn't it, or something like that?
Yeah.
But still, like, under 2 years. But I guess you have been a band for much longer than that. So I guess you probably get the feeling that not much has changed between the band that you forged and the band that you are now. And that you know, through Jimmy Fallon, all the mainstream press you've had, the festivals, everything, do you feel like you can still very much remain yourselves?
It's pretty hard, to be honest, to remain like. I mean, I think the band has become like such a strong. I mean, I'm just going to use the word identity, because it does have it lives and it breathes and it's a certain way, you know, and but in that it's hard to like maintain like your own sense of self.
Yeah,
sure.
When we started off in Dublin and we were 5 young lads with the dream of really making music our life, we were always fighting for the identity of us being musicians and us being the people that we saw ourselves to be, as opposed to, you know, waiters in restaurants or whatever we were doing at the time. And now we've been so swept up and busy with everything. It's actually the flip. We have to fight to keep the identity of, you know, I'm my mother's son or my sister's brother and all that stuff. Is more difficult and is the thing that you have to fight for now.
Yeah.
And, because we could easily become consumed by it. And I don't know if you've met people who have just become completely consumed by that life, but they're horrible. Like they have lost their humanity and they actually are just talking heads of talking about celebrity and famous people, and they have no connection with the humanity, and they're so egotistical, and so it's scary actually.
Yeah,
scary because the longer we're just introduced to this world now, but it really it is really shocking the people that you meet. Like it's scary.
Yeah, but I guess when you were first playing and you had that dream, did you ever think, now that you're kind of living that, is it a lot harder than you thought it would be to kind of, even though you kind of probably thought in your heads, oh, I'll never be sucked into that kind of machine?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. I feel like, you know, back then you'd think if this goes this way and this happens, and then we'll be able to live from our music and just do that thing as the thing that we do. Everything's gonna be fine, you know. You think like any of my like mental struggles are gonna be all right, you know, and then it's not at all, you know, like that kind of like, obviously like this is I don't want to go back to like doing the job that I had before, but it doesn't, you know, it kind of like I feel like everything that's like inside of you is still there, you know. It's not changed by anything around it, and what can happen sometimes is that instead of being changed, it just kind of gets like pushed down, and you just have to like be really aware of who you are. To, like, just it's, like I think it's really easy to lose yourself. I think I've because you think I'd never like this would never affect the person I am, but then you suddenly just find yourself and you're like thinking a certain way, or like you've been acting a certain way for a week, and you're like, who is this person? Like,
really?
you know, who am I? And you go home and then you kind of like, you know, you just kind of go back to normal for a bit, and then but then it's really confusing because then you're like, actually, can I keep this that I have at
it's
home?
Like a double life.
Yeah.
But man, even when we're at our worst, we're still not as bad as some of the heads there going on, because like we were playing a gig in Brighton there the last day, and I jokingly started shouting about the fact that there was no mustard backstage, and I was like, we can't work under these conditions, and I was shouting really loudly about it as a joke, like. And then I went downstairs, and you should have seen the look on the rep's face, like he was like, because he was just like. And obviously he's used to this kind of behavior, and that shocked me so much. I was like, oh man, I was joking, like.
I used to work for Academy Music Group at Brixton Academy, which is where the head office was, and we'd always see like the riders from like the bands had from the night before, and sometimes eat the leftovers of said riders. But some of them were like, depending on who was coming in, obviously, were crazy, and they probably ate like a fifth of it. But it had to be there. Like the demand was like the most crucial point. I imagine when you guys play Brixton, there won't be all that fancy shit on there. But I guess it is one of those things that people probably fall into, and then it becomes just a very natural, normal thing for them.
Yeah. I think it depends on what kind of you know, how business orientated you are as well, like, because you do pay for all that stuff in the end. You know?
Yeah, that comes from our own pocket. You know, so
we do pay for it.
We just get sandwiches. I mean, we get stuff to make our own sandwiches, so we feel a bit more like it's normal. Great, you know, it's better than just getting like packed sandwiches. You just get all the different elements and you make it yourself. And it does actually. It's amazing when you get a knife and a piece of bread and you just put some butter on it. You know,
you're like, I'm a normal person.
It just feels actually as such a. It's actually a big thing to do, you know?
Yeah. I love the Rough Trade with Sandwich podcast.
New series coming soon. But do you feel like you've got enough people around you to kind of support you and keep you kind of, I guess, for want of a better phrase, like feet on the ground? And
I mean, stuff? I think we have one another, and I think that's something we need to kind of keep, like, just need to be aware, and you need to remind yourself.
It definitely comes through, I think, you know, when you're performing and when you guys are together and stuff, that you're very much like a tight unit, and
I
as
think
I say, there's no
that's the biggest thing. I think I wouldn't want anyone to, like, some outsider to come over to tell me that everything's going to be fine and that I'm still relevant or anything like that, you know. I want to still be able to communicate with the other four boys and just actually have each other, you know. I think it'd be really sad if there's one day where we don't do that between us, but we have like this big team of people that do it for us, you know, like.
Yeah, like the only person whose like taste or opinion I really care about when it comes to our music is the lads in the band and our manager Trev. And I might show them to new songs to people who are close to us to see what they think, but I never really take it to heart. I just go, okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. But because I think that let your ego or your art be like the quality of it or the health of your ego to be dictated by someone external to who you are or who your music or your art is, it's really, really detrimental and really, really dangerous, because what happens when that's gone? And who do you what your ego would fall apart like. It's so dangerous.
But this is what I mean about that, how you guys are kind of unique, because what you just said there, I would expect somebody who'd had a 10 album down career to come in here and say that sort of thing. Like, you're very self-aware, I suppose, very early on, which is particularly in, you know, today with social media and everything can get so crazy very, very fast. I guess it's nice to have that kind of grounded feeling and share it amongst all.
Yeah, I mean,
really.
we don't know anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So moving on a little bit, and just to tonight, because you're playing your final Rough Trade in store to celebrate your album of the year. How have the shows been thus far? You played Bristol and Nottingham, and you did a signing at Rough Trade West last week.
They've been good. Bristol was cool because we played that venue, that Rough Trade,
Yes,
venue they have.
SWX.
We played it. Well, no, but like the venue in Rough Trade, like the
Oh
little,
yeah, in store, yeah.
in store. Yeah, then we played that loads, and it
Yeah.
was. It's always great going back. We
Yeah.
played one of our first shows there. The fire alarm went off, and
I think you told me this last time, yeah.
oh, did I?
which was
Yeah.
really-
Well, I'm not going to repeat myself.
No, it's fine. No, that I guess it's sort of moments like that that make it stuff memorable, I suppose.
But it was good going back there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in a way it feels like we're re-releasing the album because we're doing this whole thing again of like touring the UK and playing in stores and doing signings and stuff like that. We did all of that like 6 months ago, and now we're doing it all over again.
But this second time round, do you feel like the reaction is very different? Like,
completely different, yeah.
I saying I saw it at the Forum last week, and that's massive venue, huge crowd, massive. I suppose a massive expectation as well. But do you feel like the response is? I guess people know the songs better and things like that. Does that really come across when you're up there?
Yeah, it is completely different. Like the whole thing is even the way people. It's weird, kind of like when in the signings, like when we did the first like in stores and signings, it was kind of very like normal, kind of like, well done lads, great record, and you're like, oh, thanks very much, really appreciate that, And now it's kind of like there's a bit of that, but people are like so nervous, and like they come over and they sign the record, thanks so much, yeah. Oh. You're like, all right, man, yeah, cheers, and then there's some like beautiful things where like it's like people will bring their kids to the in-stores because they can't get to the venues.
Yeah.
And you have these like little like 10-year-old kids
with
coming
like
up.
Headphones on.
Yeah. And there was one kid that was like in the Bristol in-store that was he came over and he brought this drawing that he'd done of the five of us.
Oh,
and it was so cute. And then he came in to watch the gig and spend the whole gig drawing, and he did a little portrait of each one of us.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now. Oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so good.
So good. Look how what's mad is the green is smiling. Makes no sense. Yeah, the Bristol show that night was great as well. It was probably my highlight of the whole tour. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's this really class moment where someone threw a shoe at the stage, and then Green picked it up and went, "Whose shoe is this?" And a guy stuck up his hand, saying it was his shoe.
Yeah.
And he caught it. But then, what did Green say? He actually said, "Show me your feet."
Yeah, show me your feet, yeah.
And so then actually another guy got picked up.
Yeah.
And he was turned upside down, and he showed that it actually was his bare foot. So then there was two guys in the crowd that were being held up. One of them with the shoe, and the other one whose shoe it was, upside down. And the crowd brought them together, and they put the shoe back on his foot.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
Where was that? At SWX?
Yeah. That was amazing.
That was brilliant, man.
Yeah.
You couldn't stop laughing.
I couldn't stop
we were trying to play Dublin City Sky after that, and he had to turn around because he was laughing so much.
It was just like, the slow song, the like
dramatic
the quiet moment.
Yeah.
And I'm just there like bent over, just can't stop laughing. Like literally couldn't start playing.
I was doing the same. Like I was doing the whole intro, and I was just turned around to Tom, blocking his face as well, because the two of us were laughing. Like.
Oh my god, that's so funny. They must be like the best moments. Is performing live like the best thing about your job?
One of the best things.
Yeah.
Recording the albums as well is just
and writing it.
Yeah, all of it. Speaking of writing, to celebrate Doggle obviously being our album of the year, you kind of released got a 12-inch vinyl edition called Darklands Versions, which features some really early raw versions from your singles from 2017 and 2018, and it also has 2 new tracks, You Can't Realise and More Than Anything. Am I correct in thinking Darklands, is that the name of the studio?
It's the name of the studio, yeah.
And these new tracks, you actually went back there to record them for this release?
We just did it one of the last days of the summer. We were working on no new music anyways, and then, this whole thing came in and they told us that Rough Trade wanted something new and an exclusive, and just seemed like the perfect excuse to go back in with Dan Doherty, who produced the first singles. And he's a good friend of ours now from just going into that studio and doing the first singles, and
he's a good producer as well.
Yeah, he's great, and it was just great having an excuse to go back in. So we just kind of put those 2 songs together real quick, and I went back in with him, and one of the best things we've done this year, to be honest, going back in with Dan. And
Yeah.
I really want to keep doing stuff with him. I really want to like just any like opportunity like that we can do stuff.
Does it feel like kind of going back to your, I guess, home roots? Do you feel very comfortable in that surrounding kind of producing, being creative and stuff?
Yeah, it's really great going back to that because it makes you feel back in touch with who you were then, which is nice. But also it's strange because you feel how you've grown. Like, you know, what new things you know about music and producing and writing songs and all that kind of stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah. Even from those, the really raw singles that are on there, you obviously, I think, is it Boys in the Better Land? You've definitely sped it up, I want to say. Like, and just hearing the two side by side.
Yeah.
If you played, you know, Dogwell and then played the Darklands is even like really interesting.
Yeah, because we wrote that song and then we hadn't really played it live that much. And so it just happened like it was that speed that we were playing at when we were writing it. But then from playing it live, it just kind of like naturally felt like a song that should be faster.
Yeah.
And because it has such an energy when it is a bit faster, you know?
Yeah.
Really, actually, like the moment you play it, the moment that song starts, everyone just starts jumping in the club.
Yeah.
And then the beat kicks in and it's just insane.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
So it just, that song is meant to be like that, but when we wrote it, we didn't really realize that.
Yeah. Is it really exciting when you're kind of know that one's coming up in a set?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you know everyone's going to go crazy.
Yeah.
Actually, in that same SWX gig, we were standing on stage and he does his riff, and me and Green come in together. It's the bass and the tambourine, and Green just comes over, walking over to me and says into my ear, "This is the best gig we've ever played." And I'm just like, yeah. And then when the drums kick in, we all just kick, and it's just like so gratifying.
Yeah.
I was really amazing because it was just after that moment with the shoe thing, so I just felt really in touch with the whole crowd, and then to feel so in touch with all of you as well, because that intro, it was just a really harmonious, spiritual thing. Really great.
I love the idea of in like 20 years, the man that lost the shoe like meets you somewhere.
I know, yeah.
That would just be gold. It really would. But I'm so glad that you released the Darklands sessions. I think it's such a cool thing to be able to own, particularly if you've kind of lived and loved Doggerel for such a long time. As a fan, I think it's great. But speaking maybe of the future, because you've put 2 kind of new songs on there, are you writing? Presumably, definitely yes. And is there going to be an album 2 at some point?
We did a lot of writing this summer because we needed it. We just kind of felt like all that traveling and flying and stuff was just felt like, you know, it took so much out of you that I felt like the actual playing of the gigs was secondary, you know?
Yeah.
Because you were just getting through these horrible travel days.
Yeah.
And then you just had to do this thing, and we just needed to get back together and actually put writing and being a band to, like, as the most important thing that we do.
So is songwriting like a bit of a relief for you?
Yeah.
Because I feel like some people maybe see it not as a chore, but I guess some bands probably find it quite hard.
That's the most exciting thing. That's where you get your energy from, you know? It's like, I don't know how you could tour and do everything if you thought that you hadn't written anything new for 2 years or anything like that, you know?
It renews my sense of I can write songs, and
you
know, it's more of a living document of energies between us and everything as well when there's new songs. It was really really rewarding to go back in with you guys. As for the songs on the Darklands versions thing, More Than Anything is actually pretty old. That's like 3 years old, that song.
Oh, right. What, the 2? I guess we say new because they're us.
I just want to say that. I just want to put that out.
And even you can't realise it was kind of like that chorus idea had been hanging around for a while, like as well.
That's from, I remember that from Switzerland in like January.
Yeah, that'd been hanging around for a while. It was just kind of like 2 ideas that had been left behind, and we just revisited them.
So they're actually not indicative of the stuff that is coming in the future.
Okay.
And that's half of why we chose them for that. Just because they're more of a snapshot of that time period, you know. While they're recorded Darklands only a while ago, they're more of the time period of Doggerel or before that.
Well, they're really special to have, so thank you so much for agreeing to record them for us. And you can get them on CD, I think, if anyone buys Doggerel as well, which is really cool. I think just going back to what you were saying about songwriting, I think it's very indicative of how much, obviously, songwriting means to you guys as a band. Is that kind of is that at the heart of who you are, and what is the most important thing to kind of keep doing?
Absolutely, yeah.
To me, there's nothing better than leaving a because when we write, we always demo as well.
Mm-hmm.
We have our room set up so that everything is mic'd up. So if we write a song, we'll try, like, when we know it's finished, we'll try have a recording of it by the end of, finishing the song. So then you get to, like, go walk home listening to that. That's one of my favorite things in the world. Walking home, listening to a new song that we just made. That's like, I don't know, there's not much better than that to me.
Yeah.
And then when you're doing that for a few weeks, and that playlist on new songs in your phone gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
The first day is you're literally listening to one song like 15 times in a row until you get home, and then if you're there for a few weeks, then you just have like all these different songs that you actually just listen together.
Yeah.
Like, it excites me so much. Like, even when he's talking about walking home, like, I'd walk home along the canal in Dublin.
Yeah.
And I'd get back to my house, and we'd record all of them onto my laptop, using an interface. But I'd bring my laptop home with me, and then I'd sit on the couch, talk to my housemate for half an hour, and then just start mixing the songs and start editing them and seeing what effects I could put on them, and then wake up in the morning and go straight back in and everything.
Yeah.
Like, it was just it's everything. Like, it's actually relaxing to mix them as well. Like, it's
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, there's something special. There's something, I don't know, you can't really describe it when, like, you didn't have this thing in your life and then you've just made a thing that you get a lot of joy from.
Yeah.
Yourself, and where I'm with the other lads,
Yeah.
And
I
I feel like for me it's like one of the most exciting things as well is just seeing what everyone else in that room can do. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just blown away by everyone else and what they can bring to the table. So it's just like, it's not at all, I don't feel like it's like an egotistical thing of like, I've just made this thing. It's just more so being like, geez, I can't believe what, it's like, that thing that Digo wrote, that bass line is amazing, or like, I'm just thinking like that is, that's my favorite thing. Like,
I feel like it is competitive, but in a really, really healthy way.
Yeah, because we push each other to like, to actually kind of like let go of like any kind of like insecurity that would, hold you back from writing. And so you just like, the more one person does it, the more the other one is going to do it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I think the closest I could describe as to feeling what you're talking about walking home is when I've made a podcast and then I listen back to it and it's all come together from the little edits and the little bits that we've done, and it's like one show. But that's just my self-indulgent.
Yeah, that's
but it's the same. No,
it's not quite the same because it's not songwriting.
No, but you have to be like.
But it's like something you've, I guess, made. And
it's your own.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yours. Yeah.
So yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much for chatting to me. You are going to be sound checking pretty soon, I think.
I suppose, yeah.
In a couple of hours or so. Can't wait for tonight. It's going to be really, really great. Sold out crowd, as I think have all of your installs been with us. I just wanted to, I think if we play out maybe with a Darklands track, that could be cool. But just before that, I wanted to ask you, do you have an album of the year that you might want to chat a little bit about? I've been asking everyone this time again.
I was just thinking that actually earlier. I think my favourite album this year, the one I've definitely listened to the most, is Aldous Harding, Designer.
Yeah.
Is that even how you pronounce her name? Aldous?
Aldous.
Aldous.
Okay, cool.
Anyways, her record is probably the one that I've listened to the most.
Yeah.
That's the Somewhere Where We Were Flying every day. That's the thing I listen to on every flight. Like, literally every day. I just like put it on because I find it's just so good.
Yeah.
So relaxing and just nice.
And actually, she was our album of the year 2 years ago. So pass the baton on a little bit.
Nice.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So which Darklands track shall we play? Do you guys have a preference?
You can't realise?
Yeah, why not?
I haven't heard it in ages.
I haven't heard it since we did it.
Yeah, same.
Guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.